Okay, this is my first video. I'm super nervous. I'm so sorry. You're probably going to be able to tell, but I'm very excited. It's really weird just kind of looking at my phone and talking into my phone. But okay, I don't want to ramble too much. I just thought I would kind of show a few things that I like to do and that I've been doing a lot recently. And yeah, let's just get right into it. I am probably going to go ahead and take this off for now. I should be fine to just sit here. Might have to put it on periodically depending on how much I talk and whatnot. But so I have just gotten out of the shower. My hair's still wet, but who cares? It's like 9 o'clock at night, so it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna wash my face after I'm done anyway. But I have washed it and I've got a lot of moisturizer on still. But I am gonna go ahead and put on a little bit more moisturizer, some Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream that I got from Ipsy. I'm still kind of trying it out. I do really like it so far. It's very, very silky and it just smells really good. But I like it under makeup. I have really, really dry skin. I kind of think I've always had dry skin, but I think it's worse after all of the medicines and stuff that I take, and of course it's winter right now, so I don't know what it's like full price. It's probably more than I would want to pay for something. I'm a cheapskate. If I keep doing these videos, you might see that I like to keep things very affordable and preferably cruelty-free. So I am nice and moisturized. I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Poreless Putty. It's upside down. You know what it is though. e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I have some, I don't know if you can see it, some pretty good, oh yeah, you can see those boys. Some pretty good pores right here and up here, pretty much all over. I'll go ahead and flip this in too so it doesn't get in my way. But I just take a little bit and really smoosh it in just in these areas. All right, let's put a little bit more on the tip of the nose, especially. That's where mine are the largest. They're very large boys. And again, just really like pushing that in. Okay, I've still got a little bit left, and I'm gonna do some up here. Go down this T-zone right here. Forgive my like lips and chin. Been really breaking out right around here. Oh, this light makes my teeth look very yellow, which, let's be honest, they kind of are. So I'll put some on my chin too, because I have some good pores there. And like right here in these smile lines. This is an old piercing, so that's not going away. Got that in there nice and schmooshed. So if you have dry skin like me, you want to make sure you're very moisturized. Keep moisturizing everything. I layer a lot of moisturizers is what I was getting at. Essence Serum Moisturizer, you know, lightest to thickest. I said my skin's very dry and it tends to be flaky, and any kind of foundation or whatnot is really going to exaggerate that texture. Now if you are someone who's more oily, you can definitely use any kind of mattifying primer. I don't typically use those because again I'm already dry, so I don't want to do that to my skin. I also will take it's a setting spray, but I like to use it. This is All Nighter Ultra Glow. This is probably backwards, I'm sorry, but it's the All Nighter from Urban Decay. This is the glowing setting spray. I really like that kind of dewy look, but I do this before I put on foundation, and I use a different setting spray for after. So it's got a slight like kind of old lady smell to it, but I don't mind it too much. The reviews I was reading before I bought it were all about hating the smell, but it's fine. It's whatever. Okay, so that's kind of drying down a little bit. Like my skin is a little bit sticky, and that's really a good base for going in with like foundation or anything like that. Now I am going to color correct just a smidgen. Let me grab my brushes, because as you can tell, I have quite a bit of redness. Some people may want to color correct for dark circles. I don't really necessarily have dark circles. I just have these kind of hollow guys. So I have this flat, get my face out of here. It's just a really flat brush here. This one's from Wet n Wild. I really like it, but I'm just going to go right into a NYX color correcting concealer. They're like kind of putty type textures, and I'm just going to take the green because green cancels out red, color wheel, you know, and I'm going to put that down in these areas, especially the tops of my cheeks. I have a lot of redness, and really a little bit will go a long way with this too. Take my finger and kind of blend that out. I also use my finger for this too because it warms up that kind of putty type texture. Yeah, I'm just gonna use my finger. Got a few blemishes around my nose, and especially right here, we get redness right around the nostrils and such too. That's another place I like to cancel out some redness. And then, as you can tell, my chin, she's struggling lately. You can do a lot more precise, especially with the brush. Be a lot more precise with it. A lot of times a good full coverage concealer will take care of a lot of these areas, but I notice, especially right here for me at these high points, it's probably something like rosacea that I have. Even a high coverage like Tarte Shape Tape won't even cover that for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and, while I have the color corrector out, do a few more little spots. This is not something I do too often. Just because I'm lazy, really, honestly. So now I am going to conceal. Sometimes I have foundation and then conceal. Sometimes I conceal then foundation. I don't really have any rhyme or reason to things a lot of times, but I do have the infamous wow. Anyway, Tarte Shape Tape. This is 12N Fair Neutral because I am fair and my undertone is somewhat cool, but I like to consider it neutral because I also have a lot of warmth. Yeah, basically I would go with neutral for me. So I'm going to take that applicator, and again, right here, I have a lot of redness, and we will do the classic under eye contour, conceal, whatever you want to call it. We'll go down my nose because, again, I have a lot of redness. And right there where I have some blemishes that are hard to cover. My foundation will pretty much cover up most everything else. So I am going to let that kind of sit for just a second to warm up to my skin. And this is the Beauty Blender I'm going to use. I have a few. I just washed all of my brushes and Beauty Blenders today. It's been way too long since I've done that. There's probably some brushes that I have here that I have maybe never washed since I've gotten them. I mean, they've only been used, you know, less than a handful of times, but still, the struggle bus, it was real. My Beauty Blender, though, it is still kind of wet from when I washed it, and this one is, I want to say from e.l.f., I'm not really sure, but it's quite spongy. It's pretty absorbent, so you do want to make sure that it's damp so it doesn't pick up too much of your product. But now I'll let that sit for just a second. Now I'm going to go in and start just kind of pouncing it, spreading it out. And this one is, as you'll see when I blend it out, it's pretty light. And these lights that I have on are probably going to make it look, cats. They're probably going to make it look even whiter. I mean, I'm pale, but this is going to be pretty light. So I'm just kind of squishing the tip. And I like to pull it out here. We like to be snatched, apparently. So I'm not on TikTok or anything like that. I struggle even keeping up with Facebook and Instagram. So it's a lot. And I just haven't done it yet. I've been pretty resistant, I'll admit. It's not necessarily because I think, you know, I'm too cool for it, or I'm too old for it. That's a little bit, maybe I've had those feelings a little bit, but I think it's the fact that I don't want to be so consumed with so much social media, you know? I think we all can kind of relate to that. You know, I'm disabled. I'm home pretty much all the time. And I'm already on my phone a lot. And I just know that adding more social media platforms to that is just gonna, you know, I'm just gonna always be on my phone. And I don't really want that for myself. But I also have seen, sorry, I'm just spreading some of this out. I've seen some of the negativity and the toxicity, which that's going to be anywhere on social media. But really with TikTok, it makes me worry. I'm sure I'll break down and I'll get it at some point. Looking pretty pale. What else is new? Okay, I think that's pretty good. This hair, it's going to dry and it's probably just going to get a little crazier and crazier as we go. So I'm not going to jump straight into foundation, however. I am going to take a little break on my face, and let's move on to eyes. So I always use, instead of a concealer on my eyes, I do prefer an eyeshadow base. This one is from e.l.f. It's a liquid one, but this for me, it's a liquid. It dries down and feels pretty powdery. This for me has worked very well. Like, I probably am going to need a new one soon. Some people can get a good base with concealer. My only issue is that I do tend to have somewhat oily eyelids, and that will break down the concealer over time. With an eye primer, it doesn't tend to do that. For eyeshadow, I don't want to do anything too complicated. Again, I am in no way a professional, and I don't think I've ever done a cut crease in my life. I don't think I've ever even attempted it. I probably will someday, we'll say. But I am just kind of doing something somewhat simple today. I didn't want to go too crazy. I thought I might try to recreate, in my profile picture, I have kind of this pinkish look that I don't typically do too often. I don't typically put like pinks and reds or even really purples on me a lot, just because, one, I have orange hair, I have pretty red skin, even with coverage, and blue eyes, and that doesn't typically look too great on me, until I tried it, and I was actually pretty happy with how it turned out. So I might start doing some more like pinks and things like that, because they're typically on brown eyes, especially pinks, purples, gorgeous. Green eyes, oh my gosh, put a pink, a mauve, anything like that, and it's stunning usually. But for me, I kind of tend to stay to browns and maybe even orange, which is I have to be a little easy with because of my hair. But I'm going to try to recreate. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I remember what I used that day. A lot of times I'm kind of, you know, running late, flying by the seat of my pants, just kind of picking things up and seeing if I can get it to work out. So I'm going to take this Ace Beauty Falling For You palette. It's so cute. It came in my BoxyCharm, I think. It's got some really pretty shimmers and metallics and mattes in there. It's very cute. I've actually been pretty impressed with this brand, and I bought another palette from them too, for cheap, for sure, because again, I am a cheapo. I am going to start with a fluffy eyeshadow brush. So let's say this one. It's pretty fluffy. It's kind of like a blending brush, I guess. I don't necessarily know the names of brushes either. Most of the brushes and things that I've got are from Ipsy, BoxyCharm. I bought a few from Wet n Wild. I've got some from ColourPop. So if you're someone who likes to know the names of things, I'm probably not going to be very good at that always. So anyway, I'm going to take that fluffy brush in my palette, and for the first kind of transition color, we'll go right into this color. It's called Squash, And this is going to be something similar to my skin tone. I do tap off the excess, you know how we do. And holding the brush down here, I'm going to go right into my crease. Swirl it around, you know, basic makeup beauty tutorial. I swirl on the outer edges and kind of swipe back and forth. And then go in for a little bit more. I do like to tap off a little bit. Doing this in a phone camera is pretty weird, I'm not gonna lie. All right, a little bit more on this side. So the idea with a transition color, as far as I understand, something kind of nude, natural, so that when we put some more dense colors or dark, deep, whatever you want to call them, once we put more colors in here and build it up, that's going to transition out and create, you know, a nice gradient, a nice fade, instead of having any harsh lines. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to take another quite similar brush. It's just a little bit smaller. So it's got the same kind of shape to it, but it is a little bit smaller. And then I went in to this color, Candy Corn, which it looks quite orange on camera. It is fairly orange, honestly, but it's like a red orange. And when I put it on, I noticed it looked somewhat pink. But again, I'm gonna tap off because that color is very, very powerful. And go right on top of that, but like concentrating on a smaller area. Starting in the outer corner where you go first, that's where most of your color is going to stay. And then I'll blend it towards the center of my face. See, like I said, that was like a tiny bit. And it looks somewhat pink once I put it on. I will kind of bring this down into the corner of my eye a little bit, like right onto my eyelid. And in the little inner corner, just a tiny bit, sort of that like halo eye. Yep, I'm happy with that. Let's do the other eye. I try to keep that shape, extending from my lower lash line, going up, following that same kind of line. It helps, you know, lift. If you round it out down here, a lot of times it drags the eye down, makes you look droopy. A lot of people like to put their tape right there to keep that nice sharp line. I'm too lazy, quite honestly. I kind of like a more diffused shading, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so now I'm going to take a much smaller, more compact brush. Looks like this. It's more flat, very dense. It's going to help pack on more color. So I want to deepen these outer corners And for that, I'm going to use this color here called Pine Cone, kind of a dark reddish brown. Put some just on the tip there. I'm going to start right in that corner. I'm holding my brush a little farther down now. That gives me more control. Let's grab a little bit more. There we go. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's move on. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back to this pink brush that had the candy corn color on it. Pick up just a tiny bit more. And really kind of diffuse that brown out. Again, this is not a typical eye look for me, so I'm still kind of tweaking it a little bit, figuring it out. I usually do a lot more neutral kinds of things, but I figured, hey, I'm going outside my comfort zone, so why not? So next, I'm going to put a kind of shimmery tone right here in the space that's left of my lid. This right here, it's got a really cute shift, like a silvery shift to it. It's called Apple. I'm going to take my ring finger, typically get a lot more impact from a shimmer when you use your finger. It's really pretty, like almost rose gold, I guess you could call it. I'm gonna get the fingers on my face. Let us move on. I will do my brows next. Do I have, yes, I do. Let's pin this back. I use two products for my brows. Both are from NYX, and they are both an auburn color. You can tell my eyebrows are not auburn. They're, you know, my natural color is, it's not so much blonde these days anymore. It's kind of a light, not even light, it's kind of a mousy brown, ash brown. So my brows are, you know, kind of an ashy blonde brown, but I still use auburn colors because I like it to match my hair. And I start with the pencil, and I'll usually try and find my arch first. So the great way to do that, take your pencil, corner of your mouth, corner of your nose, right there. So ideally, that's where you want your arch. Let me get a little closer. Oh, this is not easy to do in a camera. Drag it down. A lot of times when you want to figure out where it should end, again, corner of mouth, corner of nose, to the corner of your eye, and that's where you can gauge a good spot for it to end. Of course, if you like the look where it's longer, if you want to keep it a little shorter, that is up to you. Underline underneath. I always start with the tail. So that's where I'm going to end up putting the most product. Typically, those, 2016 gradient brows, and how the brow is pretty much naturally quite light here at the beginning, and then it deepens as you get into the tail. So I can just fill pretty much the whole thing, and I'm very light-handed when I get to the front. And the other rule of thumb for eyebrow shape, the corner of your eye, if you go straight up, ideally is where you want your eyebrow to begin. If eyebrows, begin here inside the corner, it tends to look pretty funny. I mean, you can bring them in a little bit closer together. You can also use like your nostril to go straight up, begin it there. That's just personal preference, really. But you do want to be careful, because we all know some bad brows can really throw off your whole face. Smush that out just a little bit. I got a little too crazy. Alright, move on to the next one, and again, I go corner of mouth, corner of nose, across the pupil. I forgot that part. And right about here is where I want that eyebrow arch to be. So my eyebrows, of course, as I'm sure 99.9% of everyone's eyebrows are not 100% the same. Some people can get away with that super symmetrical brow. Mine typically are sisters, not twins. They can even be cousins. But when one looks a little adopted, that's where it gets a little rough. I'm not a huge fan, on myself anyway, of the laminated brow look. I don't really know why. It looks good on most people, I think. But I guess I just still haven't gotten into that trend yet. Oh. And filling it out. And then in the beginning, I go straight up and down pretty much. Try to be really light-handed. We're not trying to be super boxy with the brows. Isn't my manicure beautiful? Next, I will take my pen, and this is a bit of a darker shade. Shake it up a little bit. It is still, oh, wrong side. It is still an auburn shade. I don't know exactly what it's called. Probably auburn. Yeah, auburn. But it's a little bit darker. As you can see, that pencil is almost like the shade of my hair. So this is going to give me more hair-like strokes, more dimension, and I do typically focus just on the tips. Because again, I want those to be a little darker. These are not going to be perfect. Because doing this, and again, doing this in the camera is not easy. I will do a few little flicks kind of throughout if I have some more sparse areas. Like this brow. For some reason they curl out. This brow, my arch is pretty sparse, and of course the tip is pretty sparse. So same thing on this eye. I might have to like stop and shake it up a little bit. And that's gonna be, I mean, that's good enough for now. So I can, I usually let that dry down just a little bit, and then I might take a spoolie and run back through it. That's good enough for me though, you know, from far away. Again, they're not twins, but they're pretty close. So cool. All right, I am going to move on to foundation. Where is it? There it is. This is my favorite. NYX Born to Glow. Sorry for the sticker, it's a mess. This is like $6, and really like that it is a radiant, glowy finish, because again, I have dry skin, so anything matte is really just gonna accentuate my dry texture, make me flaky. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand. This stuff is fairly higher coverage. It probably claims that it's medium coverage. The color I use, what, light ivory, I think. Yep. Beauty blender. I have it on the back of my hand. I'm just going to pick it up with the beauty blender. And then any, like if I wanted to carve out this eyeshadow, if I messed up on my brows, I would take a brush and carve those out if I needed to. I don't usually do it on a typical everyday basis or any time I do makeup. I'm not a huge fan of a carved out brow for me. Make sure you get up into your hairline. Don't forget your double chin, your ears, your neck. So you can kind of see that like natural sheen. You might even need to put a little bit on your chest. I'm not gonna fool with that too much. Saying I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to bed later. I do have the much coveted Laura Mercier little mini setting powder. I ended up buying this off like Marketplace, so I have no idea how much it is normally. It's probably pretty expensive. I am quite pleased with it though. I do have to say it's probably something I would splurge for. Although I don't think it's technically cruelty free. I'm not sure. So I got a little bit on my beauty blender, and I usually like kind of roll it out on the back of my hand. And I pat to set. I pretty much do it all over my face. The thing with me is that, you know, I wear that nasal cannula, and that loves to just rub off my makeup. There's really not a lot that I can do about it. Sometimes I'll do it with a brush. Next, I will do some contour, and again with the NYX. If you guys don't know, I love NYX, if you can't tell. Super affordable, cruelty-free. You can find it pretty much any store. Contour. I like this little 3-step. I really only use the contour shade. The highlight is kind of a weird color for me. Anywho, I've got this like angled fluffy brush. That's what I like to use for my contour, so I just go right in there. Definitely want to bounce that off because we don't want to look too crazy. And I start kind of right at the top of my ear, which I have a fairly defined cheek in here. So I go little right above that. I used to, you know, we all used to kind of go right in that little cave there, concaveness. And we'll buff it in. I love the cream contours and everything that I see whenever I watch makeup videos, but for me, again, because I wear that cannula that's made of plastic or rubber or whatever the hell it is, it just rubs everything off, and if I use too much cream, it just is not going to last right here, and that's, of course, that's where I'm putting my blush and my contour and everything. So I've just kind of stuck to powders. So cream contours, they look really cool. I think I have one. It's probably from NYX. And I've used it, and it is nice. So I have a very round face, so I definitely contour like this kind of whole area here to give me more of a diamond shape. And I try to go really into my hairline with that contour because I hate seeing like a makeup line there. I mean, it's somewhat inevitable. Okay, contoured cheekbones, forehead. Can't forget the double chin. I usually drag it down my neck so that I don't have that weird line. Sometimes I forget to do that. And then I will grab a smaller brush, something kind of like this. It's a little bit more flat, still fluffy. Take that contour. I like to do the bottom lip. Just right here where that natural kind of dip is. I have the world's smallest lips, so I don't typically do the top lip. I'm gonna try it though. Looks a little funny, but that's okay. We'll do the sides of my nose too. Sometimes I get a little too crazy with nose contour because I've always thought I had a big nose. I did go a little crazy. Clean it up with the Beauty Blender a little bit. I might actually go back into my translucent powder with my Beauty Blender. Just a little bit right on the tip. In places I went a little crazy with the contour. Also, sometimes I will carve out the bottom jawline. I need all the help I can get. Blush, my favorite part. I am using the Ofra blush, Madison Miller, I don't know who that is. Sweet Stuff is what this color is called. It's neutral-ish, I guess. It's got some sparkles in it. It's cute. I don't know. I like it. And I'm gonna take, not a huge brush, but just this kind of bigger, fluffy boy. I like blush, so I typically get me a good amount And we do it right above the contour. I start off with a little bit. I usually always add more, because why not? And we're doing the 80s Temple Blush again, if you didn't already know. I've already got still a pretty natural flush there, so. But I really do like it on the temples and kind of right in there touching my eyeshadow. And then lately we've been doing the bridge of our noses, which I've actually really enjoyed. And right underneath. Not too much. I might just, whatever's left of my brush, just kind of sweep it on these areas to warm up the contour just a little bit. I don't use bronzer too often. I like being pale, you know, it kind of works for me, so. And then for highlight, I got this in my Ipsy. So anyone who has Ipsy probably has this too. I guess it's pronounced Ibby or Ivy, I don't really know. This color is Wanderlust, and it looks kind of like that. I have been super impressed with this highlighter though. Super impressed. I like highlighter, so I typically will just take my finger, find where the light catches. Oh, look at that. I even like to go into my eyeshadow a little bit again. Put a little bit on the brow bone. I love this highlighter. I could do that like all day. Yeah. I'm gonna do the tip of the nose. And down the bridge, just right there. And of course, Cupid's bow. And then just a teeny bit on the high point of my chin. Oh, I forgot this brow bone. I'll take this same highlighter, and I just grabbed a clean, kind of fluffy brush that I have, and do my inner corners. So I want to, now that I have my foundation and everything on, I want to go back and add some eyeshadow to the bottom really quick. So grab this palette again. And I'll take the same transition color, this kind of nude pink, and get just a little bit. And this is a more fine pointed, short, stubby little guy for this small area here. I do like to connect it to the top. And I'm going to take just the same brush and kind of brush it off just a little bit. And take that candy corn shade again, this kind of pinkish, orange, red, I don't know what color it is. I'm going to put that, really concentrate it right up into that lash line. I really only do like the first half, maybe even the first 2/3. really kind of just pulls it all together there. So last, let's actually, before I do that, I will put some eyeliner on my waterline. I like to use a nude, if you're my color, like a nude, what color is this called? Honeydude, not honeydew, Honeydude from ColourPop, the cream gel liner. This is just my skin tone. And I put this, my lower lash line. It opens up the eye a little bit. It's not as weird looking as the white that I used to do my entire life. Sometimes I still like a white waterline. But lately I've been really enjoying this skin toned waterline. And you can kind of see really open, I mean, I've got kind of big eyes anyway, but it really kind of opens up those eyeballs. And then I also like to take a dark color. This is actually a navy. I usually use black, but navy for me works just as well to do my tight line, which is that upper waterline. I'm sorry if this makes you uncomfortable. That's just gonna make your lash line look fuller. If you can tell the difference now, I can. I've been too lazy to put eyeliner on the top lately, so, and this is already kind of ran a little long, so I'm not gonna be doing that today. I am just gonna go straight into mascara. I'm gonna curl my lashes. Curl towards the base, and then I'll pull it out a little bit and I'll curl the tips too. I don't know if it makes any difference. It just makes me feel better. I blink a couple times to get all the lashes up in there. Go towards the base and squeeze. Pull it out a little bit. Don't pull your lashes. And squeeze the tips. And I grabbed my Essence Lash Princess. Thank you, Bailey Sarian, for that recommendation. I like to roll and zigzag. I was actually gifted with some pretty long lashes, so I don't typically have to do too much to mine. I don't usually wear false lashes. But I am lucky in this regard because pretty much any mascara will work for me. I do it lightly on the bottom because mine will transfer on the bottom. It's like no matter what mascara I use, waterproof, whatever, my bottom lashes will transfer. Go back in, don't do the thing. We know better than that, right? Don't do the pump. I don't do 2 coats very often. I know some people do, but I don't typically because, again, I got lucky. As far as lipstick goes, I'm not a huge fan of the liquid matte lipstick. I have very small lips. We know this. You can see them. I'm just going to throw on some NYX, again, guess, surprise, some NYX Butter Gloss. This color is Apple Crisp. It's just kind of a red It's just a gloss, but it's quite pigmented. Smudge it out a little bit. It's not too overpowering as far as pigment or color or anything goes, but ties everything together, I think. Sometimes I like to use a nude, especially if I've got color all over my eyeballs. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll take down my poofy hair. It's not too bad, considering. So yeah, I might do something like this for Valentine's Day, actually. Let me know what you guys think. If there's anything you want to see, if you enjoyed this. I really thank you so much for watching. I guess that's it. I wrapped up my first video. Wow. Thank you guys so much. Bye.